Here's a 2-speed spa motor. This happens to be a General Electric motor for a Marquis spa where the starter does not reliably start the motor. The starter is a mechanical piece. I've actually replaced the starter switch in the other motor. There's 2 motors in this particular spa, and I've replaced it. So this would be the new one, and this would be the old one. They don't really look that different until you look inside. And so we'll pop the cover off. And still looks okay, but on this side, you can see a lot of wear and tear on this thing. Let's look at the new one. So this is the new one. Looks good there. You can see the switch is very nice and clean. Actually works. When this is up, it's making a contact on this side, and when it's down, it makes a contact on that side. So it's up, down, contact, no contact. Whereas this one, because it is completely blown apart, see, it goes right past. This is seeing a lot of wear. This is a 14-year-old starter, so it probably should last a lot longer than it was supposed to. So this is what we're going to replace in this motor here. So to do that, first thing I do is you mark the case. I think I've already marked it here with some alignment marks so that you can make sure to put it back in the same orientation. So we're going to take off the access cover plate for wiring. So loosen up the screws. It just spins out of the way. It's got a hook on one side and a hole on the other. Oops. And then we're going to start taking these off. So there's 4 bolts that run all the way through. With a nut on the far side, so there's big long bolts. I'll pull these 4 guys out. These happen to be all the same, so I don't have to worry about which one came out of which hole. They're all the same length. Looks like we dropped the screw, or nut. There it is. So put that nut back in there. Okay. So we're going to get this cover off, which probably a little bit of corrosion, so it doesn't want to come off. So we'll just whack. Okay, it's loose. Carefully bring it up. Now on the end of the bearing, there's a spring. Don't want to lose that. Get that, put that back in there. And now we'll take the 3 feed wires. What I do is I take pictures. So let me get a camera, since I'm using another camera. And by taking a picture, you can make sure that when you're putting it back together, you get the wires in the exact right spot. Certainly don't want to cross anything. So I'm going to pull off, first of all, the three lead wires. We'll leave the ground on the cover, but there's a white one here, a red one, and a black one. So now the cover is going to come right off. There's only 3 wires. We took a picture to know exactly where they went. And we have this. This is the actual switch. So let me move this in here for a moment. Got the camera. So when the motor comes up to speed, this will drop down. There's some weights on it, so when the motor gets up to speed, this is going to spin down, which moves that switch. You can see the white switch moving up and down. So that's what's failing to disengage on the other one, on the switch, because of the corrosion and the fact the plastic piece is melted away. So come back over there. So take this piece off. Now on this one, there's 3 wires on the top. It's a gray, orange, and black. Come in closer again. Where is it? There it is. There's the gray, orange, black. And there's also this black wire behind, which connects 2 contacts on the switch. They don't provide that with the replacement one. You're going to have to move that too. So now we're going to try to lift this out. And if we look in the back side, this particular one, the other one did not, but this one has an additional device. Trying to do this left-handed here. This piece that we will have to transfer to the new one. So there's a little spring there. We will pop that off. Now we have this device off. I don't know, it looks like some sort of a thermal switch maybe. I don't know what that is. It's probably a bimetal strip for heat, and it would probably shut off, or who knows what that does. That is connected on the back side. So we'll get another picture of this. I got a picture before, but the one wire from this device that we've got to move over to the new one is right there. So if we look in the back, we have a tab and a tab. Let's go to the new one, and we will transfer that wire right away. So let me put the camera back up. So we take this one. This is a new one. This old one. Take this purple wire, and we're going to put it in the same location on this one. So there. We now transfer that. That leaves us 3 more wires we've got to move. The gray, the orange, and the black, plus the other black one, which jumps from there to there. So let's start with that one, because it's going to be in the way. The others will be in the way. So pull it off there. Pull it off there. So on our new switch, we're going to put that in the same place it was. And that's pretty loose, quite loose. So I'm going to tighten it up just a little bit. Be very careful and squish this back down a little bit so that it makes a nice tight contact. So squish those down a little bit. Let me press that onto that one. It doesn't want to go on. I may have flattened it a bit too much. Okay, that one's back on. And that one's on. Well, they're nice and tight, they're not going to come off. So now we're going to take these 3 wires, gray, orange, black, take them off. You don't really want to pull on the wires because you might disconnect the wire from the brass lug. So I'm just going to wiggle them off. So this piece is now free to come out. And we said gray, orange, black. That's going to be the gray, orange, black. So let's see how tight they fit. Oops, wrong one. That's another bad one. So this was the black. It's nice and does seem tight. That seems fine. That's pretty loose, so we'll just tighten this one up a bit. So put that one back together. Okay, so we have those 3 back on. And these wires, there's a little pocket right there. Oh, we got to put this back in. So this piece here that we were showing earlier. Oops, keep forgetting the camera's on the wrong side there. There's a notch here, which is going to go on the underside of this piece right about here. So let's try to clip that back together. There it is. So that piece is back in place. This we left alone. And we're going to get these wires put back into this little hook area. That keeps them from getting caught on things, I guess. And then slide this all back. Oh, I don't think the black one goes through that slot. The black one is going to a capacitor underneath the cover, which is another potential problem. So now we've got this. And feed that wire back in. Okay, so we've put this black piece back in. Make sure that it's in the retaining clip here and on this side. So there's two. So this piece drops right back in. Real simple. And now we're going to go and put our cover back on. I guess the wires first. So we had a picture of this. Let's find that picture. So we had the white, the red, and the black is the one further back underneath, back here. These are all, you may have them where they're a wire that wraps around the bolt and you put a nut down. In this case it's just three slip-on, I forgot what they're called. There's a word for them. So it's going to be white, red, and black towards the back. So we're going to go with our white one first. It's going to go here. The red one goes here by this screw. See the 2, 1, 2. And hidden over here is the third one. That's where the black one goes. The black one goes there. All these were pretty tight, so I'm not going to bother recompressing them. So make sure that spring is still either there or there. And we're going to put the cover back on. And we're going to line up on the side where we made that mark with a Sharpie. We're going to make sure that lines up. And then start putting the bolts back in. Hold on. Before I do that, let me make sure I did put that cover back onto that. Of course not. So now we got to put a cover back on. So we'll lift this out. Put the cover on. Somehow. Come on, get on there. There we go. Cover's back on. Now we're going to put this back in place. In both slots. Notice the spring has moved over here. It's sitting right there. We'll lower this straight on, but this is all back in place. All our wires are in place. This is back on. That's plugged underneath. We're going to take this. Oh, that spring's too hard. We'll put the spring back up here. Makes it a little bit easier. Okay, back to where we were. We've now lined up the mark we made with the Sharpie. Then we can drop the bolts back in. And there's nuts that go on the bottom side, so I'm going to put those back in. One. 2. Make sure it's still lined up. Three. And 4. So once again, make sure the lines line up. And we'll tighten it all up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll reline up this. Let's get a screwdriver going. Line up the wire back in the little groove where it came out of. Put this in, spin it underneath there. Tighten those down. One final, I'll get a wrench on these. And that's it. Go back out there. I'm going to throw this back in and see how it works. Should work, obviously, because the clearly these are a little worn. This was the first one where it was really bad. This is the one that came out of this one, and it's, as you can see, it's very arced. There's a lot of carbon buildup in there. Plus, this spring on the right side, you can really see the damage on that from overheating. So this thing was not really working very well. So hopefully another few years we'll get out of these motors. I should have checked the bearings, but they seem pretty smooth. We did not have any noise from the bearings, so I probably should have checked those. But that's about it. The other possible problem you could have is the starting capacitor. So I'll open that up. And there'll be a capacitor in here, which you'll take out, and at this end you'll have to disconnect it, but, oh, I'm sorry, you can disconnect it right here. So you can pop this out of here. Come on. Pull one of the leads off, and then use a meter that can check for capacitance and see if it matches what is on the plate. So this one here, I don't have enough light here, of course. This one says 36 to 43 microfarad, somewhere in there. That's what it says. I had already checked this with a meter previously, with a fluke meter that reads capacitance, and that one read just fine. It was within that range, so there was no issue with that. But that's another possible reason for a motor not to start. So we got that pushed back in. Get these wires back in. Cover back on. I might put it on backwards, I don't know. And it's all set. So that is how you replace the mechanical starting switch to a 2-speed General Electric motor used in a hot tub or spa.